How do you feel about that? The idea of all these trackers, all this information, all this, you could take tests at home now, lab tests, you could do genetic testing, you could wear your Aura ring, you could get HRV, you do all of this, and I see, and I've seen it in our own center where people come in with a binder of information, right? And they're just
Right.
so skilled. They've jumped down so many rabbit holes, heard about, I know about that. I know about the newest stem cells and peptides and exosomes. Like
Yeah.
they know everything, but somehow they're not healthy, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
how do you feel when someone comes to you with that much information, kind of, and telling you they know everything?
I mean, I appreciate the fact that you have one body. It's unique. We can all say the blah, blah, blah stuff. You should learn about how you operate, right? Like you should learn genetics and you should try to figure out but all the at-home stuff, of course, came just because industry made it easy to do. But information, I can get all that information on my taxes. Like, should I, for my corporate, should I do them myself? No, but you should know it. Like, I'm not saying anything's bad, but again, when you come in with a suitcase full of your own data and people are like, this is my data. And I'm like, do you understand the limitations of your tech, right? Even your blood work, it's like one time. You tested it. You
Yeah.
did your hormone test. These are my hormones. I'm like, those are your hormones on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. Like that was your I'm sorry that you kind of thought this was it. And your Aura ring is not tracking 20, there's no battery that will do that. So they're bringing in bits of data, which I
Right.
think are dangerous because they say, this is me. And I'm like, ugh, information is only as good as its whole, right? You have to be able to know these things and have experience. So I don't think wearables are interesting. I think they're funny. I think they get people involved in their health, but
Yeah.
I always say when did the wearable is wearing you? You're not wearing the wearable anymore. You came to me and said, I haven't had a good day. Look, my readiness scores. And I'm like, well, how do you feel? I feel okay. Well, then you're having a good day. How do you when did the wearable tell you what day you're having? And so when they come in with the suitcase and their data, I'm like, unfortunately, medicine was an art for a reason, and you're doing the science portion of it, and you're making yourself sick, right? Because you're
Yes.
now anytime you look at it and you say, well, I can't go to the zoo today because it's going to rain. I'm like, look outside. It's
Yeah.
not raining. You can go to the zoo for 3 hours. Why would you cancel the whole day? So I think it's interesting. I think it's a new form of health information, but health information isn't medicine and it can't really dictate what you're going to do. It's only a snapshot in time and it's retrospective. Don't
Right.
ever look at it like it's going to be something that you want to build a foundation on
Yeah.
because you can be a citizen scientist and be really good. And you're probably smarter than some of the doctors you've met, right? By the time you learn about health and physiology, but you don't have experience. And so I think it's in the next 5 years, it'll become utterly entertaining, right? Because
Right.
companies are jumping on this, right?
I love
You're
it.
just basically a cyborg tracking every minute of your day. And then it gets to be interesting because all you do is track yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just put a GPS tracker on your ankle if you want to do that, and you'd be a captive. So I think it's going to be interesting. And medicine, of course, doesn't like it, right? Because
Yeah,
half
I
of
mean, medicine doesn't
half,
like it. I see some people embracing it. Like you see the centers that give out the Aura rings now and help with the tracking and are part of it. I've always taken a stance. I know my father and others kind of agree with this, that it sort of takes you away from your intuitive self. You're relying on a technology that was created by man and is obviously has some faults in it itself and isn't as accurate to tell you how you feel, right? Rather than your own intuitive sense that some people believe in that intuitive conscious eating of I know what I need for my body, I know what supplement, I know what to
right.
do. We're getting away from that more and more, where we have no intuition and literally look at data points and influencers for to tell us what to do.
And then we have the pinnacle that everybody chases, which is the blue zone. And you're like,
Yes, yes.
none of those cats are having any of this stuff. How did these guys live free and smoke and drink and just put their backpacks on and they wake up with a smile on their face and you guys have 5 sensors on, and
You
somehow
mean the
you
Sardinian,
say,
like
yeah,
100-year-old man is not wearing his Aura ring? Is that what you're saying?
you're gonna get to that guy. You're just gonna outsmart that guy by tracking and knowing, like, if I'm not having a good day, I'm shutting this machine down for the day. And it's like, wow, right? That's a lot of strain and stress. And we always forget, like, Pavlov's dog, like, this has been trained before. Everybody knows this. Like, you can set your alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning for 14 days, and then you'll probably wake up at 5:59, right? Like, you can set things, expectations out of your nervous system. And so when you're going and looking at something and you're creating a focus on something, like, you are creating a stress response. Not to mention, like, if we all were to be honest and say, is it good to have something electrical like tapping us every single
Mm,
day, constantly sensing every single day, upsetting us every single day, looking for information? And I bet it won't be long before we're like, yeah, like, nervous systems don't like that.
yes.
Right. And they're like, well, it's a small field. And I'm like, yeah, nervous systems don't like that. Right. Like,
Yeah.
you can go to Europe and you still see people tying copper wires to their bedposts and putting it in the dirt and grounding themselves. And they're like, the less electrical interference, because your nervous system's all electrical, that you have, probably the better it is. So those things were meant to be used for one time. Like, when I went to Berlin, and like, they were doing one-time testing even on athletes, right? Like, they didn't strap the people up all the time because the form factor wasn't there. Like, you're not supposed to constantly packet your body for information, to be like somebody walking behind you all day saying, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? And sooner or later you'd be like, F off, right? Like,
Right.
like, I
I
don't
feel
want that
annoyed.
information.
Yeah.
Like, we have big fields, where 80% of communication's nonverbal for a reason. Like, we're trying to feel the environment, and if we're safe, we're safe. And if something keeps pecking at us, it's probably not a great idea. So, like, I don't have a problem with people wearing wearables. I have a problem with people wearing especially at night, overnight, like checking your nervous system all night, ping, 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 like the BlackBerry they used to have with the
Yeah.
red light, and just like bang, 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 bang. Pretty soon, it doesn't take long. We're humans, like, creatures of habit. We get, we look for that stimulus and that stimulus and that stimulus, and there's just no parasympathetic ability to just be, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Um,
interesting right now, and it's probably going to be, we're not probably going to find much to it in the
yeah.
future.
I was gonna say we're already inundated with information from that, black mirror we carry everywhere and check all the time that constantly is telling us what's going on in the world, whether we're validated by likes, all these things, what's going on with people
Yeah.
all over that you don't know that you're following. So we're already inundated with information that is overwhelming our autonomic nervous systems, keeping us in a sympathetic state. That's not good. That basically
Correct.
drives us away from a balanced state and then causes disease. So adding more is not necessarily a good thing.